right, Spiked Up, episode 8. Hey, Darren, we keep getting some big-time names. We keep getting the big guns here. As you may notice, we got a little local flavor here. You know me, I'm a UGA grad, so I'm very passionate about the Bulldogs. And cannot thank Jake Fromm and Rodrigo Blankenship for joining us on Spiked Up today.
Yeah,
thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. Can see your big smile, Matt. It's going to be a nightmare today. You're going to be a fanboy just wanting to talk about, your time at UGA.
As soon as I start talking too much, you're welcome to just cut me off and join in. But no, I thought, guys, we were big fans of you guys. You had so much success. Darren and I are big college football fans. I do want to take credit that I got Darren into college football when he came over from London. So he's a big fan, and I think he had a lot of respect for UGA and what you guys did. But we are a soccer podcast. I'd love to get your thoughts on kind of what you would, when you guys were in Athens. There is a big fan base for Atlanta United there, and what your thoughts were on Atlanta United and soccer in general.
Go ahead, Rod. You got it.
All right. Coming from a soccer background, it's common for a lot of kickers to have a background in soccer, and that's where they got their start. And I was no exception. I played soccer basically since the second that I could walk. My dad put a soccer ball in front of my feet, and we kind of took off from there. So I've always loved.
What position did you play, Rob? What was your position?
I think the better question is, what did I not play?
Yeah, really?
My dad trained me to be a striker, a forward. But once you kind of get into club and get into a lot of organized club activity, everyone was a striker, everyone was a forward, but there always seemed to be a shortage of center mids. And so, over the course of my career, I kind of transitioned into being more of a center mid. And when I played high school soccer, I played a little bit of everything. Played center mid, played center back, played left back, right back, left wing, right wing. Pretty much everything except goalkeeper in high school. But yeah, being in Athens, Atlanta United had a lot of success, early on. And so there's plenty of fans of Atlanta United in Athens around campus that you see. So it was really great to kind of have another branch of kind of Atlanta United in Athens there, and having so many people that are, such great fans. I would just see all over on my Instagram and Snapchat stories during the season that, all my friends are going to the games and, putting up all of their Instagram lives and stuff, going to the Atlanta United games and having such a great time. So yeah, it was definitely awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, Rod. I guess for me, I've never really had the pleasure of coming from a soccer background. I hate to say it, but we never really played soccer. We would always go to baseball, then football, and then we would play basketball. But now saying that, we did play some soccer there in the backyard. I was never really good at anything other than being goalie. So goalie, that's about it. For me, it was the running. I'm good on everything. I'm just not a big cardio guy. I couldn't keep up. I'm just not a good enough athlete to play soccer. I said it. So, but now, from the outside looking in, the pub that you guys have is unbelievable. From talking to people, like Rod said, seeing on social media, the amount of fans y'all had, the craziness behind it, it was kind of awesome, and a little bit of jealousy from a football guy. They're stealing all the fans from the Braves and the Falcons, but it's awesome. And then congrats on winning the championship there, and that was awesome.
Hey, Jake, you speak. I was doing a little research, a little podcast research. I was very impressed to see you played in two Little League World Series.
I've had the opportunity to play in the League World Series. It was awesome. I wish we were a little bit better, but you guys
were one game away from going to the championship, right?
We were close. I think for us it was awesome because my hometown, Warner Robins, they were there 2 years before I was there, and then 2 years before that. So we have a pretty good resume of sending some teams out for Warner Robins to represent us. And, really thankful that we were one of them and got to represent the hometown.
So what age were you, Jake, playing in Little League? I don't know what that is, but what age are you playing?
Yeah, big deal. Big deal.
I've seen it on the TV now.
It's on ABC.
Like,
they show all the games. It's a high rating. It's huge.
Yeah. So, Mr. Darren, it's you're in between like 10 and 12 years old. You're playing on ESPN. You're playing team. So they kind of have it. I think they switched it up where you had like Americas, and then you had like the rest of the world, and then they would play their bracket and they meet up in the championship. But I think now they kind of have them where they're all mixed up and you're playing teams. But it was pretty neat. They pushed it like in the dorm style, and you have all the different people and kids from around the world. And you're playing ping pong with Japanese kids and watching TV with a team from Europe, and it's pretty neat. You get to have that kind of interaction and get cultured a little bit there at such a young age.
It's interesting what you guys say about the atmosphere, because let me just share a little story when I went to UGA. So, I came to Atlanta in 2014. It's about 2.5 years before we were starting to play. And, one of the things about soccer around the world is you get that atmosphere that's not choreographed. It's not sort of scripted. It's organic and it's crazy. And when I was here, and Matt was someone in particular, was saying, look, college football in the South, that's the similar type of atmosphere. So I went to a UGA game. I remember, is it the Bulldog Walk? The bus was rocking.
Yeah, the dog walk.
So when you come to an Atlanta United game, we do. So we said, let's try that. Our first game, we actually played at Bobby Dodd our first game because the stadium wasn't finished. But we said, let's have the team come off the bus and just see if our fans congregate. And of course, the rest is history, because we get people lining up 3-4 hours before a game to try and be there to greet the team. But it was really interesting. For me, the closest American sport to soccer and the culture is that college football, the tailgating, the crazy atmosphere you guys get when you were playing at Georgia was something I think that people underestimated Atlanta, because they thought it's the South, it doesn't get soccer. But what they didn't realize is they know how to party and they know how to have a good time. And we were able to tap into that.
Yeah, no doubt.
What is, besides, Sanford Stadium, what is the craziest environment you guys have played in where it's just, it has that home field advantage?
Ooh, if you want to say the craziest environment, I would definitely say down in LSU in Baton Rouge. That was just incredible. I mean, the stadium, just goes straight up. I mean, there was no, you felt claustrophobic the whole time. The place is huge, straight up, loud, just crazy. They're playing good music. The student section's rocking. It's definitely a pretty tough place to play.
Darren, I went there. Yeah, go ahead, Rodrigo.
Oh, I was gonna say I totally agree with LSU being crazy. When we went there in 2018, it was just ridiculous. I also think another one might be Tennessee. We went in 2017, and Jake was starting at that time. I remember when our offense had the ball on that opening drive. We kicked off to start the game, and so Tennessee's had the ball on offense. First play, we get an interception, and it just goes like dead quiet. But as soon as Jake trots out on the field, it was like so loud I couldn't even hear myself think in that place too. So I definitely think Tennessee as well. Tennessee and LSU, totally, just unreal.
Yeah.
Darren, I'll tell you my LSU story. I've been there once, and I agree with Jake and Rodrigo. It is the craziest place I've ever been, and the fans are a different breed. Like they're different, right? They're nuts. And I remember I sat next to this LSU fan. Like we were right on the border of kind of the Georgia section and the LSU section, and I watched him pull out of his pants. Like, like the boxed wine, like the bladder that would be, like the bladder inside there, and it was full of like moonshine, and I watched him just chug it and then just say LSU, 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 LSU for the next 3 hours, and I can't believe it. I cannot believe how that guy is not dead, and he's the biggest fan there is. You got to get to a game there, Darren, for sure.
Definitely, and just go back to my trip when I went to see the Sanford Stadium. The other bit that I always remember about it is it was an early game kickoff. I think it was 12 o'clock. So, you get there early, a tailgate. And then I found out you couldn't get drink in the stadium. which surprised me that you could do that. So I had a little bottle sort of strategically placed in my jeans to sort of walk in. So I walk through and I get through the gates and I'm like, I'm in. And then literally just as I've got through, a flyby happens. I didn't know the flyby was going to happen. So I'm in the middle of the stairs going down, and it's the loudest thing, and it frightens the hell out of me. And I think it's an alarm going off because somehow they've got a sensor that knows I've got my little bottle of drink in my pocket. So I'm waiting for someone to arrest me. It was just a flyby, but oh man, it was a fun time. That was it.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. And I know we don't have too much more time, but how has quarantine life been for you guys? I know it's probably, you're the first draft class and signees, as rookies to go through this. How has it been? Like, how are you training? We always ask people, any new hobbies, any fix 'em up projects? You guys, I don't believe you have kids like Darren and I do, so you're lucky there. But how has it been? Like, just take us through that. How's life?
It's been fun. Lots of home improvement. I guess for the first month, we were building my mom a pool in the backyard. I've never been with him from start to finish, and it was pretty cool to be hands-on the whole time, getting it done. And that was a pretty unique experience. You got to do it with my dad, my brothers, and spend a lot of time fishing and playing golf. So that's what we've been doing there in the Fromm household.
Nice.
Yeah, quarantine has definitely been interesting, and this whole process has definitely been crazy and beyond what anyone could have possibly imagined. I think Jake and I, we were in the indoor, back at Butts. We were getting ready to get a little bit of work in when the news kind of came down that our pro day was going to get canceled. I think it was like a Sunday or something that we went over there, and we got a text message. I think it was from Mitch or somebody, but like the news came in that we weren't going to get to have our pro day. It was supposed to be in like 3 days. And so I think that was really kind of when it set in for a lot of us that, we were going to have to hitch up for a really wild ride. But yeah, we've, I think Jake's been, working out at home. I've been working out at home. All of us have. Jake, I don't know if it's been the same situation for you, but our teams, I think, are allowed to like send us some gear. They have like a little budget that they've been allotted for all their players. And so, all of us, we've been getting our workout gear in over the last few days, like kettlebells, resistance bands, yoga ball, balance pads, all that kind of stuff, so that we can still, closely follow the workouts that the coaches give to us as best as possible. So that's kind of been the workout life here, obviously trying to sneak out onto the field every few days and, hope nobody runs you off. It's kind of been how it's been this whole time.
Yeah.
As far as home improvement, nothing here on the Athens front, but my girlfriend Logan, her parents are working on a house up in North Carolina, up in the mountains up there, and so we went up there a couple weeks ago and helped her parents out with their house up there. So yeah, definitely been a little bit of a home improvement with the girlfriend's family.
Rodrigo,
what about a Netflix tip for us? Last one before you go. What's a good Netflix show? We always want to try and get some ideas.
Good Netflix. Jake, go ahead.
I think the new season of Yellowstone's coming out. It was either sometime soon, but honestly, I've been so just drowning with football and learning a new playbook. I hadn't had much time. So there was a lot of Netflix there in like the first couple weeks. But here lately, it's been football, and more football. Actually,
that's the right answer. Buffalo will be happy to hear.
Yeah, that. she just came in and gave me some note cards. So I got to get to work with these.
That's awesome.
Rodrigo, real quick, two things. It's funny you say the thing with sneaking on the field. I got to know Morton Anderson and Matt Bryant when I was working with the Falcons, and it was so funny you say that because they would sneak on to like George Pierce Park or somewhere with a bag of balls before someone kicked them off as they were just kicking, in the off season. So it's funny you say that, and I can only imagine that you're trying to do the same thing. Also, I wanted to get this in, and I know you guys got to go, but I did do some research. I want to let you know Jake Fromm at his high school, Houston County, right, Jake?
Houston County. That's a big deal down here down south now.
This is the most famous alumni from Houston County. Rodrigo, you are number 3, which is, I think, still pretty good given Sprayberry High School. But, oh, my gosh, you should see the difference in the list of these notable alumni. Like, look at the different, like, how many more are Sprayberry? You guys have some pretty crazy, like you said, some gems out there. Buff Bagwell, Chris Benson, Marlon Bird. It's insane.
Yup. Sprayberry High School. I mean, I'm totally proud to have gone there, and yeah, we definitely have some diamonds in the rough come out of Sprayberry.
Well, guys, thank you, and let us know. Hopefully, when we get back to the normal and we can have fans in the game, we would love to take you to a match and treat you VIP treatment and have you join us. So we really appreciate what you've done for the city of Athens, city of Atlanta, and your hometown. So good luck in off season, and we cannot thank you enough for joining Spiked Up. Really appreciate it.
Guys, no problem at all. Thank y'all. Hey, if we come to a game, I'm coming with Rodrigo because I'm on the whole time. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys, and good luck with your preseason. All the best.
Yes,
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. We can't thank Jake Fromm and Rodrigo Blankenship enough for joining Spiked Up. Also sponsored by Mick Ultra. Darren, only 2.6 carbs, like I said in the last episode. So, when you're watching that quarantine figure, this is not a bad drink to consume. So
it's one for the athletes. And I must admit, I'm impressed, Matt. You kept your sort of calm quite well there. I thought you were going to be a little bit more giddy. And talking of athletes, did you notice I was sensitive to Rodrigo and didn't want to sort of rub home that he may have kicked that field goal in the Rose Bowl, but my one in the indoor dome at the Falcons that should have been on SportsCenter and never was. I think I had to stop myself telling him that story, but I'll tell it now because still to this day, that's my biggest disappointment in you, is that you rang me.
I was going to say we have to tell the SportsCenter story of your kick. We'll show the kick, and then we should tell how you and I stayed up till 3 a.m. waiting for you to make the SC top 10, and I've never been more defeated in my life.
No, look, I mean, I remember we'd had a kickball competition. So for me, it was a day of first. I've never played kickball before, and we played it in the indoor facility at the Falcons. And at the end of it, we were all just sort of waiting around, and someone dared me to try and do a field goal. And it was, I think 52 yards out. And I kicked it and just made it over. To be fair, it looked like it was going wide. And I remember I was back at the house, and it must have been about 7 o'clock, and you called me saying SportsCenter were asking whether they could use it or not.
So a lot of times we'll do, like, if there's a great goal or something like that, I will use the hashtag SC Top 10, and never, I think we've gotten a couple Academy kid goals on there, like a bicycle and something like that, but they DM'd me back and they said, hey, are you okay with us using this clip? Can you give us the rights to use this clip? We think it's going to make top 10. And I was like, oh man, Darren's going to be so happy. Like I have done something really nice for the president here. I'm going to get him famous on SportsCenter tonight. And they're like, I'm like, which episode? They're like, oh, maybe you're on like the, 12 or 1-1. And then if not, it'll be on the 2 o'clock. So I was like, I remember telling my wife, like, all right, go to bed. I'm staying up. I'm recording this. And then they were like, you're going to be either number.
Well, I remember you telling me, because you told me, and I can still remember, I was giddy. It was like Christmas Eve, because, we had got, at this stage, it was like 2015. So anything that got us some profile. And for me, SportsCenter, the iconic show.
And they were going to tag our Twitter, like get us more followers. It'd be great.
So I'm sitting there, and it was midnight, and here it comes. So I'm there, all excited, and I watched it, and number 8, and gets to number 8, and I'm like, surely it's going to be me. No, it's not. Am I going to be 7? Am I going to be 6? And I'm not on there. So I remember ringing you up saying, what the heck? I wasn't on there. And you said, oh, don't worry. Don't worry. It'll be 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock you'll be on. 1 o'clock one comes and gone. And there's someone falling out of a boat because they caught a big fish. And then what it ended up trumping it was the guy who dropped his popcorn trying to catch a game. Was it in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think the flounder. Some guy caught like a world record flounder, and they just got that clip in before they emailed us. And I was I was so defeated the next day. I could not believe, like, I was like, man, I shouldn't even have told you. I should have just surprised you if it happened. But it was, that was, it's funny. And we should do a spiked up where we kind of tell some of our olden days stories. Cause there was like 5 of us, you know, and we were like, those moments where like, we're going to make SportsCenter. We're going to get more followers. We got, oh my gosh, Atlanta United's going to be on SportsCenter. Those are the best days. Those are the good old days. But yeah, I did let you down on that. But we got to show that kick. And Rodrigo, when you're watching this, yeah, it's got pretty good form. I do remember when Matt Bryant got hurt, we kind of tweeted, we like to do that too. And we're like, hey, you need a kicker.
Well, I remember we were winding Dan Quinn up about it because they had the injury to Matt. And, you know, I was like, what? You don't even give me a call, coach, to at least try out? I mean, it's outrageous. I'm in the building. I'd have been more than happy to step in. I'll tell you one thing, though, that, you know, you do appreciate. I think, and I meant to mention this to Rodrigo, I feel like his position is like a goalkeeper in soccer where you make it, no one cares, no one gives you any credit. But if you make a mistake, you're to go, you know, people make fun of you. And so the mental aspect of that has got to be one of the toughest jobs there is because, like I said, you never really get the praise when you make it. But boy, if you miss, everybody's giving you a stick.
That's one of those positions in sports where, I mean, the mental, I mean, you talk about the yips and, you know, missing an extra point or a game winner when everyone is just watching you. And you're right, like, you're not noticed. And if you know, my time with the Falcons, when you watch, like, at practice, they're just separated. They're in their own, like, it is kind of like the goalkeepers. When you watch Atlanta United, they're in their own island. Don't come near the players. Like, you know, they get together after, but at practice, they're on their own, in their own world. They're not doing all the, you know, as much work, not like physical work as the, you know, linemen and the running backs and DBs. But then, yeah, you talk about having to be mentally tough. And I've seen it too, where, you know, at the end of a practice, they'll be like, hey, no one gets lunch until he makes this kick when everyone yelling at him.
Yeah.
Things like that you see with the Goose and those guys do the same thing. So you're exactly right.
And talking of mental toughness, the next to my Michelob over here, we have the latest trophy to add to the cabinet of Atlanta United. Franco Escobar and Paolo Neto. Talk about mental toughness. They came through when it mattered for the 5 stripes, and it was pretty awesome to watch that on the Sunday night on FS. What was it, 7-3 in the end that we beat KC?
And
So yeah, another valuable trophy there.
It's funny too because you know, we got nervous because, you know, we were one of the last teams to get in. We put our bid in, but you know, we had to work through translation for Franco, and we fought on that a little bit, and then, you know, Paulo is in Brazil, so, you know, it was a lot of logistical things, but that was so much fun, and it was kind of fun to have a live event again. I mean, it was like you're watching the game like you're watching a real game, like screaming at the TV. And I love, you know, Escobar was so nails tough to get us to where Paulo could not have to, you know, he could play his own game. He didn't have to change a formation or chase points back. But we can show this too over, but I love the part where this SKC who we played in the finals, the kid, really young, and he's a really good player. And Franco gets up 2-0, and the guy comes back and ties him 2-0. So he's down on himself, and he just throws his controller. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And it shows that our guys care, and it's kind of the club we built, the mentality of the guys that you and Carlos and Speck and all those guys have gotten. Because even when they want to, you know, even if they're playing a video game against another club, Atlanta United never wants to lose. And same with me. I was nervous as I probably was for the MLS Cup when I was watching that.
Yeah, no, it was a great job. You know, Franco Paolo did a super job to win it. And what I loved about it is because we've had the curtailed season, you know, we've only had a couple of matches, and so you're in that bizarre world where you're watching, you know, Jake Mulroney score a couple of goals, bombing it down the wing, and I'm going to wind him up saying, look, Jake, you know, now our fans are going to expect you to score every time you play because He's lightning quick in the FIFA game.
And it's funny you say that. So in the EMLS, like the regular season, players could pick any MLS player, but for this tournament, they had to play with their club players. So it was we had a nice little advantage having Martinez, Brady, Pity, Barca. It was nice. It was really nice. So, but quarantine still treating you okay?
Yeah, hanging in there. It's now the summer, so
Yeah. Any new activities? I bought badminton.
Oh, you did? How did
Yeah.
you get on with badminton?
Yeah, and I bought a putting green as well.
Oh, nice.
Kids have been putting.
No,
So
we're still doing the cycling, but the funny thing now is we always do it on the Saturday, and James in particular is not liking it. So it's Monday, and he'll ask me, "How's the weather for Saturday? Is it stormy? I don't think we can go bike riding." And I'm now at the stage where you are going. It's character building. You know, we're doing for the people listening to the podcast across Atlanta United. We're trying to get to San Jose and back in the month of May, which means everyone's trying to do, whether it's running, cycling, adding their sort of mileage. So I'm saying to James and Edmund, we've got to do 5 miles because we're trying to get to San Jose and back. So that's my way that I get them out there. But yeah, it's forced family fun now. We're at that level.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that. So I'm in that group of the getting to San Jose and back, and I don't know that I would have worked out one time this month without that. So if anyone is looking for some motivation, I would encourage you to do something like that, because it has motivated me to work out more than I ever would have. But this morning I wasn't feeling it, and my wife was like, you're going to let your group down. You're not going to get to San Jose and back. Like, I thought I'd see you on the bike today. And I was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But no, it's been really awesome. And Jack Kimber, who is organized it on our technical staff, the sports science staff, has done a great job on that. But it has been good, and it's fun. You'll be kind of tired, and you'll see all the texts pop in of people logging their run. You're like, well, I can't be the one guy that doesn't work out today. But Darren, it's another good, another episode. We got some more big guests, and I think we're working on some more next week. But once again, thanks to Michelob Ultra sponsoring, and being a great partner for us. And I'm sure there's going to be some more news and notes coming down the pipe, and things are starting to cook up, and you can talk about that maybe next week. But thanks again for another episode of Spiked Up.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks to our supporters. And here's to another trophy, and let's hope we're going to be out on the pitch playing for real pretty soon.
We need to get to the training ground so we can put that thing in the cabinet. It'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Darren. Have a great week.
Cheers, Matt.